Today we're going to talk about inequalities, and inequalities are the less than, the greater than, less than, and equal to, greater than, or equal to signs. Okay, but we're going to put a little twist on it. We're going to be graphing them on a number line, and we're also going to be solving two-step equations with it. So there's kind of going to be a little bit of extra stuff that we're not used to with inequalities. First, we need to take down a few notes, okay? And I know a lot of you know the symbols and the meanings of them, but I still recommend that you write down this table so you have it in your notes, okay? First symbol is the less than symbol, okay? And it means less than. Okay, and this open or closed circle, this is going to help us when we graph it on a number line. And for the less than, we're going to have an open circle. And it will make more sense a little while. Okay. The next symbol we have is the greater than. Okay, so we're going to write in greater than. And that one is also going to have an open circle when we graph it on a number line. The next symbol is the less than or equal to symbol. Okay, and then that one is a closed circle on the graph. And then we have the greater than or equal to. And that one is also closed on the graph. Okay, so take a minute, pause the video if you need to. I'm just going to get into the first example because I think it'll make a little more sense, okay, with graphing and everything. And then I'll try and do at least the first 7 examples on your note sheet. Okay, so first we're going to draw our line. We're going to solve it just like we would if there was an equal sign there. Okay, so this is a one-step equation. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So I end up with just G. Okay, instead of putting equal to, I'm just going to bring my sign down with it, that greater than sign, -2. Okay, so my variable is by itself. Okay, so my final answer is G is greater than -2. Okay, now graphing. Okay, this is maybe the difficult part of the process because everybody's pretty good with two-step equations, one-step equations. If we go back up at the top and look at our greater than symbol, notice that's an open circle. Okay, so if we go back, and I'm going to put an open circle at -2, okay, because that's what I got as my answer. Okay, and when we graph on a number line, we have to pick a direction that the data is going. Okay, so either I'm going to draw an arrow going towards the left, or I'm going to draw an arrow going towards the right. Okay, so for this case, I always say put in your favorite number in for G. Okay, if you want to use my favorite number every time, that's just fine. I like to put 4 in for G. I like to replace it. And I take a look at this. Is 4 greater than -2? Okay, well, yeah, 4 is greater than -2. Okay, so notice my 4 here on the number line. I'm going to bring my graph towards 4 on my number line. Okay, so anytime that statement is true, whatever number you put in for your variable, you go towards that number. Okay. Now some people say, well, what if my favorite number was -10? -10 over here. If I put -10 in for my G, okay, is -10 greater than -2? Well, no. That doesn't work, so I don't want to go towards that number on my number line. I'm still going in this direction on my number line. Okay, so you just plug in a number. If it's true statement, you go towards that number. Okay, like mine, I picked 4, so I'm going towards that number. And then if it's false, okay, like if I were to pick 10 and it was false, I'm going away from it, so I'm still going towards my 4 on my number line. All right, the next one, example number 2. Okay, same thing, I'm going to solve for d. I have d minus 7 is greater than negative 3. So I'm going to add 7 first to both sides. Okay, so now I have d is greater than, and that's a 4. So my answer is d is greater than 4. Okay, because I got my variable all by myself. Okay, so that part should be very easy for us. Okay, we treat it just like it was an equal sign there. Okay, and if I go back, or if you look up on your table, you'll notice that the greater than symbol has an open circle. Okay, so greater than, I'm going to put an open circle at 4. Okay, the tricky part is now picking a number to plug in for D. Okay, I'm not going to pick 4 for this example because my answer I got was 4. So I'm just going to pick my second favorite number. Let's pick 1. Okay, is 1 greater than 4? Is that a true statement or is that a false statement? Okay, well that's not true. Okay, so I don't want to go towards 1 on my number line. Okay, I'm going to bring my graph into the opposite direction. Okay, so if it's a false statement, we go away from that number. If it's a true statement, we go towards that number. Okay, next here, I have negative 3 is greater than or equal to y plus 1. Okay, so again, my variable's on the other side of the equal sign or of the greater than or equal to sign. And we're going to treat it the same way at first. Okay, so I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So I end up with negative 4 is greater than or equal to y. Okay, negative 4 greater than or equal to y. Okay, so I'm going to graph it, and if I look back at the top of my sheet, the greater than or equal to sign had a closed circle. Okay, so negative 4, I have a closed circle. Because greater than or equal to 4, we want to include that negative 4 in our answer. So that's why we shaded in for the equal to signs. Okay, you'll notice that both of the equal to's, like less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, they have a closed circle because we want to include that number. So we circle it in. Okay, now I'm going to plug in my favorite number. Okay, so negative 4 was my answer. Is that greater than or equal to positive 4? Well, no, that's not true. Negative 4 is not greater than 4. Okay, so I don't want to go towards 4 on my number line. Okay, I want to go the opposite direction. Okay, example number 4. Okay, at this point, if you are having questions, you haven't really understood the first 3, you might want to consider asking questions. Okay, next, I'm going to add my 20, okay, because I want to get m by itself this time. So I have m is less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so m is greater than or equal to negative 4. That's my final answer. I got m by itself. If we look back on our table, it says that the less than or equal to sign is a closed circle. So I go to negative 4 and I put a closed circle. Okay, and I pick my favorite number. Now, if your favorite number is different, pick a different number. Okay, so let's pick 4. That was my favorite number, right? Is 4 less than or equal to negative 4? No, it's not less than, so that's a false statement, right? Okay, 4 is not less than negative 4. So I don't want to go towards there on my number line because it didn't work out. Okay, so that's how my graph should look. All right, next one. Notice we have an additional step here. It ends up being a two-step equation. 7x minus 1 is less than 20. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I'm left with 7x is equal to, or sorry, see, even I make that mistake. Okay, 7x is less than 21. And then my final step, 7 times x, so I'm going to divide by 7. So I get x is less than 21 divided by 7 is 3. All right, so if we look back on our table, a less than sign would have an open circle. And I'm going to pick a different favorite number. I'm going to pick 1 because 1 was my second favorite number. Doesn't matter what number you pick. I know that I've picked 4. You can pick whatever number you want. Okay, so is 1 less than 3? Yeah, that's true, right? 1 is less than 3. Okay, so I find 1, and I want to go towards that direction because it was a true statement. Okay, you always go towards the true statement. Example number 6. For this one, again, is going to be a two-step equation. This time I'm adding 4. 2z is greater than or equal to negative 4. Lots of 4's going on. And then I'm going to divide by 2. So z is greater than or equal to negative 2. That would be my final answer. Okay, you get points for that, and you will also get points for graphing it correctly. Okay, if we look back on our table, we'd have a closed circle for greater than or equal to. Okay, I'm going to pick my favorite number again. 4 is greater than or equal to negative 2. Is that a true statement? Is 4 greater than or equal to negative 2? Yeah, it's greater than negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to find 4, and I want to go towards that direction. All right, last one that I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to have you finish the rest on your note sheet. Okay, I'm going to first subtract 8. Okay, I've been kind of going through my two-step pretty quickly because I know a lot of us understand this part. Negative 20. Okay, and then 4 times x, so I'm going to divide by 4. Okay, and when we have a negative divided by a positive, we end up with a negative answer. So I get x is greater than or equal to negative 5. If I look back on my table, greater than or equal to had a closed circle. Okay, and my favorite number, I'm going to plug 4 in for x. Again, it doesn't matter what number you plug in. It just matters if it's a true statement or a false statement once you plug that number in. So is 4 greater than or equal to negative 5? Yeah, that's true, right? So I always want to go towards the true statement. Okay, so I'm going to go towards my 4 with my line. Okay, and that's how we graph inequalities. Okay, if you're still confused, I recommend going back through the video. Okay, if you need another note sheet, make sure you ask Mrs. Schmidt. And make sure you're asking questions. Either ask a teacher or ask a neighbor.